morning, before we can talk about sick kids, so we first need to briefly touch on healthy kids. And healthy children, as you know, have saggy chests, fleshy arms, pudgy thighs, and a flabby tush. That's normal. All you have to do is water your baby and watch them grow. And when little ones grow up, they are going to grow up to be one of two kinds of children. And this is inevitable, right? Option A, hurry up there, brother, that's mom calling us. Yes, we simply must get home with mother with her household duties. Now, for those of you that have kids, is this real? No! So what is something we encounter in the PEDS-ER just a tad more commonly? So as we look at sick kids throughout the day, let's begin with a couple of quick things that guarantee that you are going to find on the exam. So what about bugs in the ear? So with that in mind, if you've got a bug in your ear, how do you get the bug out? Good, you flush. But what do you squirt in there before you start to flush? Lidocaine, good. Remember lidocaine, if you give a boatload and it's absorbed by the bug, it essentially is a neurotoxin. And it either paralyzes or kills the bug. And then you can try to get the bug out. Now, once the bug is dead and or paralyzed, what do you flush it with? Saline, good, that's important. Because if you just flush it with tap water, that's a problem. Because remember, tap water, much like D5W, is hypotonic, which means it's going to make the bug what? Swell! Very good. That's why after they're dead, saline is where it's at. Well, first, Nebs. Do Nebs work? Absolutely, because you know what? It would be a major bummer to learn after giving 13,000 different albuterol treatments that they don't work. They work. The problem is your lungs. Give them something that works on your lungs, right? And when you give Nebs, remember you give Nebs until either A, they shake, or B, they break. Shake means they're bouncing out of the bed. Break, they're breathing better. Now, I know y'all have given Nebs, but have you ever given yourself a Neb? If you never have, next time you go to work, you got to give it a try. Because you will quickly learn it is the poor man's cocaine. Because you are going to be jazzed like you would not believe for an hour after just one Neb. Have you had the pleasure of externally pacing somebody? And if so, what do you remember from the experience? It's called, it hurts. Because you put that big old pad in the front, that big old pad in the back, and you crank it up and they go like this. Couple things you need to remember. Number one, the energy for kids is exactly the same as it is for adults. You crank it up till it works. More importantly than anything is how do you know it's working? Is not when you see pretty spikes on the EKG. It's not when you see dead people jump off the table. It's when you have what? A pulse. Good. Now, let's get fancy. Can use adult pacing pads on a little kid. Yes, good. Now, they do make pediatric pacing pads, but most adult or mixed ERs don't have them, and understandably so. So if the child shows up because they just got a hold of mom's Lanoxin and have a heart rate of 14, if the child is big enough, you can put the pad on their front and a pad on their back. The adult stuff works just fine. So let's go ahead and start back with a look at Neuro. But what's kind of neat is this whole idea of stopping seizures. Starting an IV, obviously great, gold standard, that's wonderful, but you also know with experience in this kid, it's going to be a challenge to say the least. Which means there's got to be a better way. Better ways, number one. Can you give rectal Valium? Absolutely. Can you give rectal Versed? Absolutely. Can you give rectal Ativan? Absolutely. It's all good. Lube it up, shove it up there. It works great. However, as you can imagine, especially from the child's or even worse, the paramedic's perspective, they're not real gung-ho with shoving drugs up people's butts. So what are you going to see, if you haven't already, is this idea. The whole idea of putting drugs up the nose. But when this baby comes out, if you talk to OB, they'll remind you that in 90+% of the kids, there is 3 and only 3 things you need to do. That's it. First, catch them. Second, clamp them. Probably most importantly, don't drop them. Good. If you drop them, what do? Pick them up. Good. How long can they stay on the floor? What's the rule? 5 seconds. Very good. It's just like an ice cream cone. Right? You got that magical 5-second window that you can pick them up, dry them off, and life is good. So how we play a game of pediatric pearls and Jeopardy jewels this afternoon is reasonably simple. It's going to be one side of the seats against the other. Eight-year-old witness collapsing on the playground. AED recommends a shock. You should. RSVs. B, shock. Excellent. Good. So why this is important is, remember earlier we said those AEDs or automatic defibs are popping up everywhere. And can you use an automatic defibrillator on a kid? Yes. What they now teach is twofold. First of which, if you have pediatric pads, please use them. Because remember, pediatric pads plug into the adult defibrillator to give a kid appropriate dose. However, they also now teach, remember, if you're dead, you can't get much worse. So since there's only 2 kinds of dead people, babies and everybody else, good. If you're everybody else, something is better than nothing from 1-year-old on up. If all you've got is the adult stuff, go for it.
On my way into work, I spilled hot coffee on my lap, and I lost control of my car.
Shock advised. Stand clear.
No. For the most part, I'm glad that I bought a car with the trunk monkey.